beautiful ignited souls, we are ready for a new creation. Beautiful ignited souls, I am just happy to be here again. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, I am Crimey Queen, your partner in crime, helping you break the law of silence. I am hoping that there is something within you that is seeking to be recognized, realized, and so yes, it's about breaking the silence. And so, yes, I'm happy to be here to share with you my sentiment, views, opinions, experiences, all of that which I feel can be of very good benefit to not only help you break the law of silence, but to find your own self identity, your self worth, empowerment, and whatever it is, your talents, your gifts, your voice. I am hoping that you will find something of encouragement, something. If you feel at this moment that there could be nothing and there is a spirit saying there's nothing, just move on. Don't waste time. Time is precious. But if you feel there just might be something, hang on. Okay, so here we are talking about breaking the law of silence, so for your healing, and particularly for people who have been sexually traumatized, assaulted, whatever it is, abuse, whatever that has been without your consent. There we are talking about something has been done. Something has, or someone has crossed the path, have defiled your innocence, you could say. This is where the old people would say, oh, this one is spoiled, like she's been defiled. And the scripture would say, well, she's been blemished, not spotless. Not talking about who has caused it. It's just saying that, this is a bad apple. Now that there are ways of ways people explain those things that qualify the statement, if you like, but not addressing the whole cause or root or the reason. Okay, why you would say the apple has been spoiled. Did someone, meddle with it? Did someone touch it with dirty hands? And did someone squeeze it or poked it or threw it or bounced it? Nothing like that is being mentioned. Usually it's saying this is a bad apple. Now, speaking of bad apples, of course, apple is often used as the fruit of wisdom, like in the story of Adam and Eve or in the Garden of Eden. Often apple is used that way simply because, of course, apples are not only red, but they come in different shades, something you cannot miss, something that is that denotes change. So for various reasons, apple are used. Like someone would say, the apple of my eye. That means you can't, or let's put it about like the Christ spirit, like in Christianity. That's Christ. You are asked to call on Christ. That is the Christ that changes everything, that transforms, that you are called to. And so this is what we are talking about. And no one is talking about, well, what cause, if you like, that that defilement of what made that apple bad. And so this is what we are now addressing, that you come into a place of transformation and understanding where you are coming from, what had caused this. So I have now come to the conclusion that perhaps people should have this social distancing for sexual abuse, or it should be in place to address sexual abuse. If you are seen as so close to this person without having a passport that says, yes, I have a right to be this close, perhaps you should have a 2 meter apart or something like that. Okay, all right, but what has happened though is that, like it will, whether it was cancer or thinking about a genetic disposition that happens in your genes from your generation, often I think like Dr. Bruce Lipton speaks of epigenetics, and I think that is looking at the genes, but the way they are passed on from generations. But not only that, it's the environment. Now, how, of course, the environment shapes us. So, for instance, if you had parents who had been sexually assaulted, and they had not learned to deal with this in a very constructive way, they are very likely to pass on this genetic disposition or behavioral action, if you like, whether it is cognitive, whether it's genetic, psychological, emotional, all these that construct or constitute the makeup of the parent is very likely to be passed on to generations. So, to give an example of how things can actually be passed on, and taking that away from the equation of sexual abuse, let's just put that aside for a moment. I grew up in the Christian religion, Adventist. It was first Catholic and then Adventist. Now, of course, if you were thought to be having sex, unmarried, or otherwise unmarried, basically you would be fornicating, and that is a sin. So, of course, that is oftentimes even in church that someone was found to be or believed to have been fornicating, they would be disqualified from being a member. They probably would have a 3 months disqualification or something, or the person would go on through repenting of their sins again, getting baptized again, or if they were pregnant without being unmarried, they would be disqualified. So for various reasons, you would find that people would carry a degree of shame, blame, and all kinds of things, even if that they were found to have been raped, if you like, or anything like that. They would be seen as unclean, unclean. They've been defiled. And so, in my experience, just to give you a snippet of what happened. So, when my mother, who of course was married and her husband was abroad in London, and she was in St. Lucia, had conceived me to another man or by another man. And as soon as she found out, that would be missing one period, I suppose, found out that she was impregnated, she, of course, and I know, in fact, I was told that tried to terminate me. Of course, perhaps that's why I'm strong-headed as well, because I knew I was here for a purpose, so no one was going to shift me. Okay, but it seemed like maybe 1 or 2 attempts of drinking some solution that would have or should have done it, didn't do it. And so informed her husband, well, this is what has happened. So her husband decided to do what would seem like the gentlemanly thing. Well, okay, and before everyone finds out about this, how about you come over and join me in London, and then I would accept the child as though it were mine, and no one would really know. Or those who already knew, okay, but it wouldn't be, you wouldn't have something to feel ashamed about. Cut the story short, I think, yes, definitely, there was a lot of shame, and at that time, my mother was not a Christian yet, as in Adventism, but there was enough to feel ashamed of what had happened, having slept with this man only one time, just that was one time, and which I had from both parents. So this encounter, which was a one-time encounter with my father, had happened. And so this is when I think, there are things that just has to be done. And when the time comes to be birthed or, manifest, it just has to happen. Whether I had to go through all these sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and so on, emotional, I'm still questioning that, but there you are. Anyway, so I'm talking about the shame that one bears and how that it passes on to other generations. So I believe that throughout the 9 months, or not just 9 months, because I also grew up to experience the shame that my mother bore when it came to having me as the representation of her sin, if you like, her adultery, her being or infidelity. I was the emblem of sin, as worse than perhaps Adam and Eve, And so constantly having to try and cover that sin carried a degree of shame, blame, pain, which I know very well she endured quite a lot through me. It didn't mean that I didn't carry this. I'm trying to say the generational epigenetics, how I understand it, is being passed on. The behavior is being passed on, the behavior of trying to cover that sin, the behavior of smiling as though everything is well and it isn't, that is passed on. All the behavior of lying to say, well, oh yeah, he's the father, whereas in the mind you have to kind of suppress the truth of the other. Or the behavior, perhaps she doesn't quite look like the others, or this one is a little bit different. There are different ways that we cover, and we pass this on to our children. And our children now, of course, they pick up the vibration, which is often spoken of as well, vibration, disposition, when you're sad, the emotions. So, for instance, when I boasted to people, to my friends at school one day when I overheard my elder sister talking about me being a different father to her, I thought, aha, I was so proud that that man was not my father. So, of course, I told my friend, who, of course, told whoever else. When I got home from school, the point or the news had got to my mother, and she said, who told you that this man's not your father? Who told you? And I said, oh, I heard my sister said, and she said, you kneel down right now, kneel down. And this was the one time my mother took the strap and really beat me with it and says, you never have to open your mouth and say such a thing again. Never say this again to anyone. And I don't remember exactly how old I was, perhaps about 13, maybe, I don't know, maybe younger, I'm not sure, because the life, sometimes some things loses its age. But I would imagine I was about 14, because it seemed about 2 years after that. For some reason, it feels like 2 years after that, when she now said to me, do you know, forgetting the beating, of course, we both pretended that that didn't happen. The beating did not happen. That's another thing. The pretense is carried on. I had learned to pretend. I had learned to have this unconscious bias, and just play along with it. So I pretended that I didn't know. And she said, oh, do you know my husband is not your father? And I think it's time you try and connect with your real father. So I am talking about how all these behaviors, all this storage of information that this woman had held for 15 years, 14 years, 15 years, all this information, all this cover, all this waiting to reveal this, which it seemed like a secret, breaking the law of silence. And I now have to break the law of silence. So in some way, I have learned how to also break the law of silence through her act of revealing that secret. But it did not mean that I didn't go through embracing all the secrecy, all the hidden secrets or disposition or behavior. I went through and adapted the whole pattern. This is what a lot of us do. Likewise, we embrace the pattern of sexual abuse. Now, according to Mother, it seemed like almost, I would say almost, because she didn't give me the detail, that I was conceived in that manner, because it was in a roundabout way when she said, oh, that's exactly what he did to me. So basically, this one time where I thought it was agreed, but afterwards, knowing by her learning about what had happened between father and myself, as him, of course, behaving that was sexual assault and towards me, so she directed, is what I heard true? Did that really happen? And I, of course, took the time and explained to her exactly what happened. And her response was, that's exactly what he did to me. So basically, the whole construct or the whole memory or the whole construct of one's makeup being conceived, like the scriptures would say, in sin, is passed on. And if we are not careful, this is what the memory of learning, of what you have learned, is stored in you. You behave accordingly. You walk as if you have a badge of saying, yes, please come and sexually assault me, because this is what I know. This is how I've learned. This is the only way I know my identity, because this is what I think I am born to do, or whatever. It's all this interpretation of the behavior or confusion. Everything is there. It also would have the question, is that what I am born for? Is that what I am meant to be? All these would be there as well. But of course, the abuser is quick to see the word abuse, the word assault, the word selflessness, helplessness, unworthiness, incompetent, sense of or no identity, all those things, all those emotions are just zooming out. They are radiating, they are sending signals, especially when we also complain. We complain. That means we are saying plainly, this is what has happened. And this is why I understand the word believe has a lie in it, which you have to, that's another story. So you have to devise, your creative expression of what you want to be like, or how you envision yourself to be. And that in itself is the seed, that the new seed you are sowing, where you can nourish to find your healing. Because we are everything, people. We are everything we can imagine that has been created. We are it. So the things that we have been giving more attention to, more emotion to, for instance, it's the feeling. The feeling is the codes. The codes are within us. So when we are igniting the codes that we are made up of and not having the right files, or not filing them in the right places and saying, okay, this happened, that's a file, I know this file, I'm going to put that one there, I've dealt with it, and so on, and this is done. Now I want to activate the file that shows or that tells me that I am worthy, I am confident, I am the self-expression of the universal love, whatever it is. I am a child of the universe. I am great. I am powerful. I am strong. I am transformative. I am transformed. I am who I am. I am a woman with a voice. I am an individual with self-respect. I am able to speak, break the law of silence. I am able to forget the shame, the blame, the pain. I am able to embrace the gain. So we have all these things we can hold on to. And so this is why with TRSHC, meaning the Revolutionary Spiritual Healing Code that I have been given for self-healing for those who have been sexually assaulted, abused, molested, whatever it is that you want your healing. It covers all the different spectrums of your makeup: psychological, spiritual, cognitive behaviors. That means how you think. Not just going on your spiritual. It is beckoning you to have those exercises on all these parameters. You would have to do behavioral exercises to revert that kind of thinking that you are less. No. You are now falling into your personal identity, with your unique sacred code, which is all devised from the Bible as well, which is a reflection of all that we are. So I want to just give the statistics of what is happening, and just to go, well, this is in Britain, for instance, and I'm just going to read a little bit on the statistics of what it has been like for us in when it comes to sexual abuse. What has been happening, and how can we, take action, or to realize the pattern. What actions can we take to create a new people right now? So, I just thought I would give a little information on here on the main points. This is just going on. I just googled really the statistics of sexual abuse in Britain. Now, we have main points here. The year ending March 2020 crime survey for London and Wales estimated that 1.6 million adults aged 16 to 74 years had experienced sexual assault by rape, penetration, or including attempts since the age of 16. So that means like nearly say 1.6 million people would have by the age of 16 experienced some kind of sexual abuse or assault. The analysis of the nature of these assaults uses data from the year ending March 2017 and March 2020 combined, and is limited to adults age 16 to 59 years. Victims who have experienced sexual assault by rape or penetration since the age of 16 years, here we go, almost half, 49%, has been a victim more than once, people. Fewer than 1 in 6, meaning 16%, reported the assault to the police, and of those that told someone but not the police, 40% stated embarrassment as a reason for not reporting it. Embarrassment, 40% people. 38% did not think the police could help. There is the thing. And 34% thought it would be humiliating. Like in my case, for instance, when there was the attempted rape, I was about 13, 14 years old, and I went to the police station. I was humiliated by the two policemen who interviewed me. They made fun out of me. That really was enough to say no one's going to believe you. And even if the young man was sent to prison, that meant I had adopted again the hiding disposition, the cover, the shame, the blame, because it was my fault according to them, or I liked it. All different reasons why people are subjected to these crimes time and time again. So, more than 4 in 10, which is 44%, were victimized by their partner or ex-partner. Now, that's another thing. So there are people that people who are close to you. Nearly 1 in 10, this is 9%, were victimized on the street, in a car park, or another open public space, compared with over 1/3, which is 37%, in their own home. 37% in their own home. I cannot tell you the amount of times this happened. I don't even want to go there. Now, over half, which is 54%, said that the perpetrator used physical force, such as holding them down, which I've experienced many times, to make them have sex with them, and 6% said the perpetrator had threatened to kill them. Now, I didn't have someone threaten to kill me, but it was threatening to say no one's going to believe you and you're a slut. So we have the understanding of what sexual abuse is, or assault, or trauma. We have sexual offenses are often hidden crimes that are not reported to police. Therefore, data held by police can only provide a partial picture of the actual level of crime experience. One of the strengths of the crime survey for England and Wales is that it covers many crimes that are not reported by the police or reported to the police. I'm just giving this information as to explaining the critical meaning, the critical state of sexual abuse, the critical state of our world, and how the dispositions or constructs or hiding, how they permeate our senses, and how that, of course, is part of our genetic disposition. To how I understand epigenetics, we are learning from our environment. We are learning from our parents. We are learning from the memory that has been passed on. Everything in the cells is being passed on. It has the disposition to manifest and to be realized to what it is. So, is it not right to say that perhaps the biggest virus that we truly have is one that is not being talked about? Is it not fair to say, that one of the biggest, or one of the most concerning viruses that we've had is really this cover up of sexual abuse and sexual trauma that requires sexual healing? Is it not the virus that really should give us great concern right now? That clearly we pass a lot of this sexual disposition onto our younger generations. Remember, this sexual energy is what holds the most potent creative expression, whether it was in art, whether it is conceiving a baby, whether it is in creating whatever emotional disposition, whatever it is, isn't sexual energy the most potent of all that we have? That, of course, all our feelings, our senses, vibrations permeates and is imbued in this genetic emblem or serum or act, however we want to see it. I think it is something that really requires our attention. And this is why, with all what is happening right now, this is clearly the message that has been transmitted to me through the universe, is saying, hey guys, there is a lot happening right now. There's a lot happening requiring your attention to act on speedy decisions and have, all kinds of things happening to your bodies, to your mind, to your spirit. But I am ready to offer you something. I am ready to offer you a remedy. If you will commit to this 5 days of transformation, I can make things happen for you. That's the universe. Nothing's impossible. Nothing at all is impossible when you begin to heal your life and tap into your highest form of creativity. You too will find ways of unblocking your level of creativity, because that will be transformed into highest form of your talents, your dispositions, your makeup. You will find yourself, like I'm doing right now, feeling bold to say, yes, I am a conduit of this 5-day transformation. You will be finding your own niche, your own talent, your own gift, because you too are a conduit of creative self-expression, of the divine force, the divine source. It is only that it had been used and packaged in a way that had not felt good and had not permeated in your senses in a right way. But the universe is saying, hey, we can transform that energy. It has been packaged in you. You have locked it within certain files of your makeup. and it has certain codes on it. I will show you how to tap into those codes where you can ignite and activate those codes to seeing who you are and to becoming an expression of true creation. Let me mention as well, now we are taking 40 volunteers for this first trial, if you like, this trial of volunteers for TRSHC. After that, the course is £500. It's not going to be discounted because I have been given strict direction, instruction, so it's not going to be discounted, buy one get one free, 40% or anything like that. The universe is saying it's a gift for you right now, and I also may be instructed to have it gifted to other people free at some stage. I don't know individuals, this is what I got right now, but otherwise it's going to be straight £500. So people, it's your chance, whether you are a perpetrator or whether you're a victim. If you do not want to pass this on to other generations, and if you want to unblock that level of genetic disposition within you, and to finding yourself and your creativity, welcome on board. Welcome on board to TRSHC and stay ignited. See you again. I leave you on that note. Please like and subscribe and share this video, and look out, of course,